Washington. The first and last name in business, Cavuto.
The Obama administration plans to limit pay to $500,000 a year for executives of government bailed out institutions, and also maybe controlling salary even for banks and government institutions that are not taking government money. I should say institutions not taking government money. Joining us to talk a little bit about this is Charles Payne and Matthew Tuttle from Tuttle Wealth Management. So Charles, what do you think? A limit of $500,000 if you're taking a lot of the government money and government services, and also some sort of cap even if you're not taking government money.
Well, that's where I draw the line. That's totally outrageous. Obviously, if you're taking government money, whoever you're taking money from has a say in how much you're going to make. So that's between the borrower and the lender. But as far as extending this, and I do see this as a Trojan horse sort of thing, you know, you go in and first you apply it to those firms that are taking money from the government, then you make it a broader based thing. And this was a major, you know, we had a lot of politics of envy over the last couple of years. This was a major campaign issue. It's one of the things I really fear tremendously. And not saying necessarily that executive pay is you know, quote unquote fair. For the latest numbers, 2007, it's 344 times the average worker. It should be noted, though, in 2000 it was almost 540 times the average worker. It has been coming down.
Well, there are people in Washington that agree with you, such as Senator Shelby, of course. He is head of the Senate Banking Committee, and this is what he has to say. In ordinary situations where the taxpayers' money is not involved, we shouldn't take a set executive pay. But where you've got federal money involved, taxpayer money involved, TARP money involved, and the way that they have spent it with no accountability is getting close to being criminal. So part of this, Matt, too, is that if you get the $500,000 that say your bank is taking money from the government, you have that set pay. You also, as far as perks, as far as stock options, that's limited. You can't even sell it until the company pays the government back, which, you know, is anyone's best guess.
Right, and I mean, I agree with Charles. I think you're opening a Pandora's box here. But what I'd like to see for these companies taking TARP money, I don't mind capping the executive pay, but I'd like to see incentives where you can compensate.
What would those incentives be?
It could be bonuses, stock options, but based on performance. You know, if you turn these companies around, I don't mind you making more money. I just don't want you making a lot of money while the company's going down.
What do you think the fallout is, Charles? You know, we talk a lot about the evolution of hedge funds, private equity in an environment like the one that we're in. You know, if it's such that a public company, you know, is really being tied to the government so closely, even with compensation, what do you think that means is for the financial landscape overall, of where the energy goes?
Right, that's a great point, because in 2007, the average private hedge fund or private equity guy made 19,000 times the average worker.
19,000?
19,000. The top 50 made 19,000 times. John Paulson made over $3 billion in his pocket. So obviously the real talented people will say, you know what, why would I hang around here when I could just go, be private, and make all the money I want to make?
And really quick, Matt, I mean, there's only a certain amount of people that have access to hedge funds, to John Paulson, and normally those are the wealthy.
Well, right. And, I mean, we definitely can't extend this out beyond companies that are getting the TARP money. You know, we got to be very careful here that we're not starting something where we end up in a place we don't want to be.
It seems like we're going all over the place right now, talking about places we don't want to be. Yeah. Matt, Charles, thank you very much. Connell, over to you.
All right. Jenna, thanks very much. We want to talk a little bit here about the debate continuing in Washington on this stimulus package. $885 billion as of now. Who knows? Maybe going higher from there. But Senate Republicans have objected to the bill, saying it includes too much spending that's just not targeted immediately at boosting the economy. They had a lot of debate on it yesterday, centered around a $246 million tax break that was in there for Hollywood studios. Eventually, that was taken out of the bill. Meanwhile, the president on a media tour pushing the stimulus plan, saying it needs to be passed quickly. His press secretary, Robert Gibbs, says the spending that Republicans are complaining about really amounts to 1 or less than 1% of the total bill.
Well, President Obama is trying to soften a controversial part of that stimulus plan. He says a Buy American clause would be a mistake right now. The EU warning him about protectionist policies, and the president says he doesn't want a trade war. Democrats and trade unions are in favor of a Buy American clause, which would give construction contracts to U.S. firms.
In other news this morning, this Ticketmaster deal may be close to happening. It would be Ticketmaster combining its operations with the concert promoter Live Nation. Wall Street Journal says the boards of these two companies have not yet approved it, but